Megan, 1 year earlier, Wednesday the 16th of May 2012, morning. I can hear the train coming. I know its rhythm by heart. It picks up speed as it accelerates out of Northcote Station, and then, after rattling around the bend, it starts to slow down, from a rattle to a rumble, and then sometimes a screecher breaks as it stops at the signal a couple of 100 yards from the house. My coffee is cold on the table, but I'm too deliciously warm and lazy to bother getting up to make myself another cup. Sometimes I don't even watch the trains go past. I just listen. Sitting here in the morning, eyes closed and the hot sun orange on my eyelids. I could be anywhere. I could be in the south of Spain at the beach. I could be in Italy, the Cinque Terre, all those pretty coloured houses and the trains ferrying the tourists back and forth. I could be back in Holcombe, with the screech of gulls in my ears and salt on my tongue, and a ghost train passing on the rusted track half a mile away. The train isn't stopping today. It trundles slowly past. I can hear the wheels clacking over the points. I can almost feel it rocking. I can't see the faces of the passengers, and I know they're just commuters heading to Euston to sit behind desks. But I can dream of more exotic journeys, of adventures at the end of the line and beyond. In my head, I keep travelling back to Holcombe. It's odd, and I still think of it. On mornings like this with such affection, such longing, but I do. The wind in the grass, the big slate sky over the dunes, the house infested with mice and falling down, full of candles and dirt and music. It's like a dream to me now. I feel my heart beating just a little too fast. I can hear his footfall on the stairs. He calls my name. "You want another coffee, Megs?" The spell is broken. I'm awake. Evening. I'm cool from the breeze and warm from the 2 fingers of vodka in my martini. I'm out on the terrace, waiting for Scott to come home. I'm going to persuade him to take me out to dinner at the Italian on Kingley Road. We haven't been out for bloody ages. I haven't got much done today. I was supposed to sort out my application for the fabrics course at St. Martin's. I did start it. I was working downstairs in the kitchen when I heard a woman screaming, making a horrible noise. I thought someone was being murdered. I ran outside into the garden, but I couldn't say anything. I could still hear her, though. It was nasty. It went right through me. Her voice was shrill and desperate. "What are you doing here? What are you doing with her? Give it to me! Give it to me!" It seemed to go on, though it probably only lasted a few seconds. I ran upstairs and climbed out onto the terrace, and I could see through the trees. 2 women down by the fence, a few gardens over. One of them was crying. Maybe they both were, and there was a child bawling its head off too. I thought about calling the police, but it all seemed to calm down then. The woman who'd been screaming ran into the house carrying the baby. The other one stayed out there. She ran up towards the house. She stumbled and got to her feet, and then just sort of wandered round the garden in circles. Really weird. God knows what was going on, but it's the most excitement I've had in weeks. My day feels empty now. I don't have the gallery to go to any longer. I really miss it. I miss talking to the artists. I even miss dealing with all those tedious yummy mummies who used to drop by, Starbucks in hand, to gawk at the pictures, telling their friends that little Jessie did better pictures than that at nursery school. Sometimes I feel like seeing if I can track down anybody from the old days, but then I think, what would I talk to them about now? They wouldn't even recognize Megan, the happily married suburbanite. In any case, I can't risk looking backwards. It's always a bad idea. I'll wait until the summer is over, then I'll look for work. It seems like a shame to waste these long summer days. I'll find something, here or elsewhere. I know I will. Tuesday, the 14th of August 2012. Morning. I find myself standing in front of my wardrobe, staring for the 100th time at a rack of pretty clothes. The perfect wardrobe for the manager of a small but cutting-edge art gallery. Nothing in it says nanny. God, even the word makes me want to gag. I put on jeans and a t-shirt, scrape my hair back. I don't even bother putting on any makeup. There's no point, is there? Printing myself up to spend all day with a baby. I flounce downstairs, half spoiling for a fight. Scott's making coffee in the kitchen. He turns to me with a grin and my mood lifts instantly. I rearrange my pout to a smile. He offers me a coffee and kisses me. There's no sense blaming him for this. It was my idea. I volunteered to do it, to become a childminder for the people down the road. At the time, I thought it might be fun. Completely insane, really. I must have been mad. Bored, mad, curious. I wanted to see. I think I got the idea after I heard her yelling out in the garden, and I wanted to know what was going on. Not that I've asked, of course. You can't really, can you? Scott encouraged me. He was over the moon when I suggested it. He thinks spending time around babies will make me broody. In fact, it's doing exactly the opposite. When I leave their house, I run home. Can't wait to strip my clothes off and get into the shower and wash the baby smell off me. I long for days at the gallery, prettied up, hair done, talking to adults about art or films or nothing at all. Nothing at all would be a step up from my conversations with Anna. God, she's dull. You get the feeling that she probably had something to say for herself once upon a time. But now everything is about the child. Is she warm enough? Is she too warm? How much milk did she take? And she's always there. So much of the time I feel like a spare part. My job is to watch the child while Anna rests, to give her a break. A break from what exactly? She's weirdly nervous too. I'm constantly aware of her hovering, twitching. She flinches every time a train passes, jumps when the phone rings. They're just so fragile, aren't they? She says, and I can't disagree with that. I leave the house and walk, leaden legs the 50 yards along Blenheim Road to their house. No skipping a step. Today she doesn't open the door. It's him, the husband. Tom, suited and booted, off to work. He looks handsome in his suit. Not Scott handsome, he's smaller and paler, and his eyes are a little too close together when you see him up close, but he's not bad. He flashes me his wide Tom Cruise smile, and then he's gone. It's just me and her and the baby. Thursday, the 16th of August, 2012. Afternoon. I quit. I feel so much better, as if anything is possible. I'm free. I'm sitting on the terrace waiting for the rain. The sky is black above me, swallowing loops and diving, the air thick with moisture. Scott will be home in an hour or so, and I'll have to tell him. He'll only be pissed off for a minute or two. I'll make it up to him. And I won't just be sitting around the house all day. I've been making plans. I could do a photography course, or set up a market stall, sell jewelry. I could learn to cook. I had a teacher at school who told me once that I was a mistress of self-reinvention. I didn't know what he was on about at the time. I thought he was trying it on, but I've since come to like the idea. Runaway, lover, wife, waitress, gallery manager, nanny, and a few more in between. So who do I want to be tomorrow? I didn't really mean to quit, the words just came out. We were sitting there around the kitchen table, Anna with the baby on her lap, and Tom had popped back to pick something up. He was there too, drinking a cup of coffee, and it just seemed ridiculous. There was absolutely no point in me being there. Worse than that, I felt uncomfortable, as if I was intruding. I found another job, I said, without really thinking about it. So I'm not going to be able to do this any longer. Anna gave me a look. I don't think she believed me. She just said, "Oh, that's a shame." And I could tell she didn't really mean it. She looked relieved. She didn't even ask me what the job was, which was a relief, because I hadn't thought up a convincing lie. Tom looked mildly surprised. He said, "We'll miss you." But that's a lie too. The only person who will really be disappointed is Scott, so I have to think of something to tell him. Maybe I'll tell him Tom was hitting on me. That'll put an end to it. Thursday, the 20th of September 2012. Morning. It's just after 7. It's chilly out here now, but it's so beautiful like this. All these strips of garden side by side, green and cold, and waiting for fingers of sunshine to creep up from the tracks and make them all come alive. I've been up for hours. I can't sleep. I haven't slept in days. I hate this. Hate insomnia more than anything. Just lying there, brain going tick, 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 tick. I itch all over. I want to shave my head. I want to run. I want to take a road trip. In a convertible, with the top down. I want to drive to the coast, any coast. I want to walk on a beach. Me and my big brother were going to be road trippers. We had such plans, Ben and I. Well, they were Ben's plans mostly. He was such a dreamer. We were going to ride motorbikes from Paris to the Côte d'Azur, all the way down to the Pacific coast of the USA, from Seattle to Los Angeles. We were going to follow in Che Guevara's tracks from Buenos Aires to Caracas. Maybe if I've done all that, I wouldn't have ended up here, not knowing what to do next. Or maybe if I'd done all that, I'd have ended up exactly where I am, and I would be perfectly contented. But I didn't do all that, of course, because Ben never got as far as Paris. He never even made it as far as Cambridge. He died on the A12, his skull crushed beneath the wheels of an articulated lorry. I miss him every day, more than anyone, I think. He's the big hole in my life, in the middle of my soul. Or maybe he was just the beginning of it. I don't know. I don't even know whether all this is really about Ben, or whether it's about everything that's happened after that, and everything that's happened since. All I know is, 1 minute I'm ticking along fine, and life is sweet, and I want for nothing. And the next, I can't wait to get away. I'm all over the place, slipping and sliding again. So I'm going to see a therapist, which could be weird, but it could be a laugh too. I've always thought that it might be fun to be Catholic, to be able to go to confession and unburden yourself and have someone tell you that they forgive you, to take all the sin away, wipe the slate clean. This is not quite the same thing, of course. I'm a bit nervous, but I haven't been able to get sleep lately, and Scott's been on my case to go. I told him, I find it difficult enough to talk to people I know about this stuff. I can barely even talk to you about it. He said, that's the point. You can say anything to strangers, but that isn't completely true. You can't just say anything. Poor Scott. He doesn't even know the half of it. He loves me so much it makes me ache. I don't know how he does it. I would drive me mad. But I have to do something, and at least this feels like action. All those plans I had, photography courses and cookery classes, when it comes down to it, they feel a bit pointless, as if I'm playing it real life instead of actually living it. I need to find something that I must do, something undeniable. I can't do this. I can't just be a wife. I don't understand how anyone does it. There is literally nothing to do but wait. Wait for a man to come home and love you. Either that or look around for something to distract you. Evening. I've been kept waiting. The appointment was for half an hour ago and I'm still here, sitting in the reception room, flicking through Vogue, thinking about getting up and walking out. I know doctor's appointments run over, but therapists? Films have always led me to believe that they kick you out the moment your 50 minutes are up. I suppose Hollywood isn't really talking about the kind of therapist you get referred to on the NHS. I'm just about to go up to the receptionist and tell her that I've waited long enough. I'm leaving, when the doctor's office doors swing open, and this very tall, lanky man emerges, looking apologetic and holding out his hand to me. Mrs. Hipwell, I am so sorry to have kept you waiting, he says, and I just smile at him and tell him it's all right. And I feel in this moment that I will be all right, because I've only been in his company for a minute or two and already feel soothed. I think it's the voice, soft and low, slightly accented, which I was expecting, because his name is Dr. Kamal Abdig. I guess he must be mid-30s, although he looks very young with his incredible dark honey skin. His hands I could imagine on me, long and delicate fingers. I can almost feel them on my body. We don't talk about anything substantial, it's just the introductory session, the getting to know you stuff. He asks me what the trouble is, and I tell him about the panic attacks, the insomnia, the fact that I lie awake at night too frightened to fall asleep. He wants me to talk a bit more about that, but I'm not ready yet. He asks me whether I take drugs, drink alcohol. I tell him I have other vices these days, and I catch his eye, and I think he knows what I mean. Then I feel as if I ought to be taking this a bit more seriously. So I tell him about the gallery closing, and that I feel at a loose end all the time, my lack of direction, the fact that I spend too much time in my head. He doesn't talk much, just the occasional prom, but I want to hear him speak. So as I'm leaving, I ask him where he's from. Maidstone, he says, in Kent. But I moved to Crawley a few years back. He knows that wasn't what I was asking. He gave me a wolfish smile. Scott is waiting for me when I get home. He thrusts a drink into my hand. He wants to know all about it. I say it was okay. He asked me about the therapist. Did I like him? Did he seem nice? Okay, I say again, because I don't want to sound too enthusiastic. He asked me whether we talked about Ben. Scott thinks everything is about Ben. He may be right. He may know me better than I think he does. Tuesday, the 25th of September, 2012. Morning. I woke early this morning, but I did sleep for a few hours, which is an improvement on last week. I felt almost refreshed when I got out of bed, so instead of sitting on the terrace, I decided to go for a walk. I've been shutting myself away, almost without realizing it. The only place I seem to go these days are to the shops, my Pilates classes, and the therapist. Occasionally to Tara's. The rest of the time, I'm at home. It's no wonder I get restless. I walk out of the house, turn right, and then left onto Kingley Road, past the pub, the Rose. We used to go there all the time. I can't remember why we stopped. I never liked it all that much. Too many couples, just the right side of 40, drinking too much and casting around for something better, wondering if they'd have the courage. Perhaps that's why we stopped going, because I didn't like it. Past the pub, past the shops. I don't want to go far. Just a little circuit to stretch my legs. It's nice being out early, before the school run, before the commute gets going. The streets are empty and clean, the day full of possibility. I turn left again. I walk down to the little playground, the only rather poor excuse for green space we have. It's empty now, but in a few hours it'll be swarming with toddlers, mothers, and our pairs. Half the Pilates girls will be here, head to toe in sweaty Betty, competitively stretching, manicured hands wrapped around their Starbucks. I carry on past the park and down towards Rosebery Avenue. If I turned right here, I'd go past my gallery. What was my gallery? Now a vacant shop window. But I don't want to because that still hurts a little. I tried so hard to make a success of it. Wrong place, wrong time. No call for art in suburbia. Not in this economy. Instead, I turn left, past the Tesco Express, past the other pub, the one where people from the estate go, and back towards home. I can feel butterflies now. I'm starting to get nervous. I'm afraid of bumping into the Watsons because it's always awkward when I see them. It's patently obvious that I don't have a new job, that I lied because I didn't want to carry on working for them. Or rather, it's awkward when I see her. Tom just ignores me, but Anna seems to take things personally. She obviously thinks my short-lived career as a nanny came to an end because of her or because of her child. It actually wasn't about her child at all. Although the fact that the child never stops whinging did make her hard to love. It's also much more complicated, but of course I can't explain that to her. Anyway, that's one of the reasons I've been shutting myself away, I suppose, because I don't want to see the Watsons. Part of me hopes they'll just move. I know she doesn't like being here. She hates that house, hates living amongst his ex-wife's things, hates the trains. I stop at the corner and peer into the underpass. That smell of cold and damp always sends a shiver down my spine. It's like turning over a rock to see what's underneath. Moss and worms and earth. It reminds me of playing in the garden as a child, looking for frogs by the pond with Ben. I walk on. The street is clear. No sign of Tom or Anna. And the part of me that can't resist a bit of drama is actually quite disappointed. Evening. Scott's just called to say he has to work late, which is not the news I want to hear. I'm feeling edgy. Have been all day. Can't keep still. I need him to come home and calm me down, and now it's going to be hours before he gets here, and my brain is going to keep racing around and around and around, and I know I've got a sleepless night coming. I can't just sit here watching the trains. I'm too jittery. My heartbeat feels like a flutter in my chest, like a bird trying to get out of a cage. I slip my flip-flops on and go downstairs, out the front door and go to Blemheim Road. It's around 7:30. A few stragglers on their way home from work. There's no one else around, though you can hear the cries of kids playing in their back gardens, taking advantage of the last of the summer sunshine before they get called in for dinner. I walk down the road, towards the station. I stop for a moment outside number 23 and I think about ringing the doorbell. What would I say? Run out of sugar? Just fancy to chat. Their blinds are half open, but I can't see anyone inside. I carry on, towards the corner, and without really thinking about it, I continue down into the underpass. I'm about halfway through when the trains run overhead, and it's glorious. It's like an earthquake. You can feel it right in the center of your body, stirring up the blood. I look down and notice that there's something on the ground. A hairband. Purple, stretched, well used. Dropped by a runner probably. but something about it gives me the creeps, and I want to get out of there quickly, back into the sunshine. On the way back down the road, he passes me in his car. Our eyes meet for just a second, and he smiles at me.